Pause.
I'm getting a heat flash. It could
Don't get my chins in there.
I'll zoom in.
On my chins?
So you want me to cut?
In and out.
It's really good, isn't it? Actually, the fries were mad to me, though.
Well, everything is good that you get.
In Stuff's World?
Yeah.
But Barbie.
Okay, Spanish. Okay. There's no comfort like complicity.
Dude, you're struggling.
Dude, I know I'm nervous in the presence of you, Miss In-N-Out Burger. Imagine having all your own thoughts and feelings tangled up with all the thoughts and feelings of a whole other person. It can be hard sometimes to sort out which is which. Okay, wait, I'm going to say another one. Throw you in for a loop. I stuck to him like a burr. You know what that is?
A burr?
Yeah.
Yeah, those things outside.
It hurts.
My dog gets them.
No.
She's fine.
Oh, okay.
First, stick around the
I think we should
talk about it.
Imagine having all your own thoughts and feelings tangled up with all the thoughts and feelings of a whole other person. It can be hard sometimes to sort out which is which. That's a quote from If We Were Villains by ML Rio. For our viewers, you need to read this, but I thought that we could kick off the episode with that quote because we're talking about growing into yourself in this life in your 20s, as we talked about in your 30s and 40s and whatever. But we're talking about growing into yourself today.
Another quote that goes hand in hand with that one is, we found it on TikTok. I don't know the person who actually said it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
But it was said. So we're not taking this as our own.
No, this is not our quote. It's just a quote we love. But it said, "I am the mosaic of everyone I've ever loved, even for a heartbeat."
Crazy. There's so much to say about that, but I think we don't even realize that we're taking bits and pieces of people until we become a whole new person. And I think that's why I liked that quote of like, it can be hard sometimes to sort out like who is who whenever you've lived your entire life adapting other people's habits. Because especially your parents, right? That's your first sign of like intimacy. So the way your parents interact, that's why a lot of people, whenever they're, growing up, it's like a lot of who you are is because of your parents, because those are the first people you saw. The way they interact, the way they talk. If you're in a household that's full of yelling, for instance, you're probably going to end up either a yeller or super docile. And those are things that you would adapt. You're not born with any particular personality trait. You know what I'm saying? I feel like, well, maybe you are. I don't know. Because I feel like some babies come out like literally kicking and screaming, or like some people are like really soft and like, quiet or whatever.
Well, it's your genes too, but it's nature versus nurture. There's parts of things of just in you, your genes, how you are, but it's also how you were raised and who was around you and what surrounded you. Exactly.
But I think about, what if you didn't experience the things that you didn't experience? You'd be a completely different person. And I think that is why so many people struggle nowadays, is because they don't know who they are.
Yeah.
And I think like whenever you are so used to a certain crowd of people, even if you feel off or even if you want more, say like when you're in high school, I feel like you're developing your personality and like your friends make the biggest difference in that.
Yeah.
And it's like kind of what you said in the mosaic quote. It's not just people you love, it's your friendships. That's what impacts you directly. And I think, say you were like a quiet kid, but then you kind of get wrapped up in like a group of introverted people. Slowly you're going to start taking in like, maybe I can make more jokes. Maybe I can go to all of these parties and kind of be the life of the party. You start learning how to interact the way that your company interacts, right? And it's like, but then life will hit you one of these days where it's not going to be those same friends. It's going to be a different group of people. You can't talk or interact the same way you did when you were in high school. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you are forced now to grow up depending on your circumstance.
Yeah, 100%. And it's also the little things, and that's why I love the quote. It's such a cute quote because obviously it's going into who you are and how you interact with other people and where you're going in life and the outcome of your life. It changes, but it's also simple little things. And I mean, there's been people in my passing that have told me about a podcast to listen to that now is my go-to podcast.
Literally.
There have been people in my life who have mentioned a certain food combination that now I love to eat because I learned that once from that person.
Fries and a Frosty.
Mine is popcorn and jalapenos.
I know, you told me that.
I did.
No, that's what I'm saying though. It's like, those are things.
Exactly. And obviously, the food combination, the podcast, whatever, it's not going to necessarily change my life.
No.
But, It could, especially things like the podcast.
Yeah.
I was looking for a very niche type of podcast, and this is exactly what I was looking for, and it stuck with me, and I've learned so much from it.
Well, you know what? That actually kind of makes me think of how, like, again, I feel like the mosaic analogy and kind of picking up pieces of who you are along the way really does stem from a family dynamic, if we're really going to get into that. Because, like, I know someone who he grew up in a household that wasn't what now you can look back and be like, okay, that wasn't ideal for that child. He wasn't hit. He wasn't like, you know what I mean? There were things that the parents did and said and like acted upon that it was very obvious that they didn't heal from their own traumas, and that got brought onto the kid. And now the kid is almost seeing the world through his parents' lens. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
And now he's struggling literally to this day with identity. And that's why, you know, whenever we talk about like identity crisis, I'm having an identity crisis, it's because one day you wake up and you're like, I have no idea who I am.
Yeah, and oftentimes it happens in your 20s, like the
Exactly.
big, great scattering that we talked about a couple episodes
Yeah.
from the Mel Robbins podcast. But it becomes, you're guided your entire life to go in one direction, and
Yeah.
as parents should raise you. That's their job, is to guide you in a
Yeah.
certain direction. But it does come to a point where when you are an adult, that's when you can sit there and say, do I agree with everything my parents said? Do I agree with everything they taught? Are there things that I would do differently when I'm raising my kid? And that doesn't necessarily mean that they were wrong. In some situations it is clear, like I feel like the situation you're talking about was a little bit more of a toxic situation.
Yeah.
But in general, you're going to look back and think, okay, you know, I don't necessarily agree with their views or their
Yeah.
opinions on this. I can change it because now I'm a full-grown adult and I can
Yes.
formulate an opinion on my own.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do that. But
Yeah.
you have to be able to take that responsibility. And I think a lot of people struggle with identifying that because it is a scary thing to all of a sudden feel like you're an adult and
You're jumping in the deep end.
you're jumping in the deep
Yeah.
end. And it's a weird realization to understand that your parents aren't all knowing.
No.
You think that when you're growing up because
Yeah.
anything, it's like my parents could put food in front of me and it could have been poisonous, but if they told me it was good, I trusted them because anything they said I believed, rightfully so at that time. Now at this age, I'm starting to understand, yeah, there might be certain things that they say that I don't agree with. There are certain things that I do, whatever it might be. But when you're a kid, anything your parents say to you, you're going to believe. Even if as a child you kind of know maybe
Yeah.
it's not right. Like I think in certain toxic families, kids pick up on this isn't right.
Absolutely.
But you don't want to believe it because you're so young
Yeah.
that you just accept it.
Yep.
And
It almost becomes a normal in your head.
it does.
Yeah.
And
Just
it's
sad.
It is sad, and it's a weird thing to try to get out of that. It's like a trauma bond.
Yeah.
in a
It
way.
is. It is.
Trying to break those bonds and keep moving forward, and then create your own identity, but then also understand that, especially in a toxic family, I feel like that's difficult because sometimes people want to be the complete opposite.
Yeah.
But there's still things that your parents could have done,
Yeah.
or just the way that you are, like even being impatient or whatever it might be, raising your voice a little bit more. There's certain things that aren't necessarily wrong, but you adapt them from your parents. I think it's understanding the responsibility of it's okay not to be exactly like your parents.
Yeah.
It's okay to be different.
Well, also, it's your parents' first time living too.
Yeah.
And they're going to make mistakes. And also, especially if you're like the firstborn, that's like really complicated for your parents to navigate because they've never had a kid before. And like that's a whole different ballgame. I feel like until you're a mother and a father, you can't explain the feeling. I'm not a mother and a father. I don't know why I'm acting like I am. But like
But you understand that you don't know what it feels like.
exactly. And like one of my best friends, she lives far away and she just had a kid. And like before that, like I remember I still talk to her about like parties and like going out and like all of this stuff. And then now she's a mom, a new mom. It's a completely different ballgame. I can't even begin to understand that. But again, it's like it's your parents' first time living too. So if they make mistakes, if they fuck up along the way, like as a kid, it's unfortunate that you kind of are like, oh, so I have to act like this because you don't see
Yeah.
anything different. But like you said, whenever you get older, now you have the emotional maturity to hopefully identify that maybe that wasn't the right thing to do. And actually, I don't even know why I didn't pull this quote up, but in my book, A Hue of Blue, Jace says in one of the when he's talking about friends and whatever, how he put on a smile whenever it was acceptable to smile and all of this stuff. And he said, I wrote it and I can't even remember it, but it was like, but over time I learned to be everything that everyone wanted. I learned to match the energy of others, to morph into whatever they liked, and remained that way until I didn't need to anymore. That was the moment I realized how to win people over. That was also the moment I realized how little of myself I had left when I was trying to please everyone else.
Yeah.
That quote, I feel like that applies to friendships as well. Like, I think
Yes.
that is the biggest thing because, yeah, when moving on from the parents, it's like, even when you're a teenager, you can't particularly identify your childhood triggers or things that happened in your childhood. I feel like it's whenever you're an adult that things kind of come back. Like, I don't know if I told you, but I saw this one TikTok of this girl who said, like, why is it that when my frontal lobe developed, I got a fear of heights?
Yeah.
I was never
Yeah.
afraid of heights
I saw
before, but
that.
yeah, like, but now I'm like, why am I scared of roller coasters? Why am I scared of flying? Why am I scared of all of these things? It's because when you're a kid, everything is like, you have those rose-colored glasses on, so you think you're like superhuman, right? And then I think that's why when I'm saying that the maturity whenever you're a teenager, you can't really identify what went wrong or things that could have changed you as a person fundamentally because you're just seeing your friends and partying and like drinking and
Yeah.
growing up. And I think in this case with friendships, I think it's so important because you are not your 16-year-old self. You are not your friends when you were 16. Like, you are a adult now. I'm assuming everyone who's listening is probably over 20 or like over 18. And it's like, that is such a struggle with identity because now you are taking on responsibility that you've never had to take on. Your brain is fundamentally changing now that you have to get into different groups, go off to university, like what we talked about.
Yeah.
And because of that, now that you're here, who are you going to be?
Obviously, again, as we said, your parents, it's their first time living, but they're guiding you in one way. And then you go to high school and you almost, I think that's why a lot of teenagers rebel.
Yeah.
Because they were taught a certain way and then they start to get these close friendships in high school where obviously they grew up differently.
Yeah.
And so you start to see how they are and you almost take it out on your parents and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, my friends are my end all be all right
Yeah.
now. These people understand me. These people know me. So you morph, not that you morph into them, but you kind of do in a sense where you all become one unit.
Yeah.
And then after that, you grow up and you become an adult and you start to go down different paths and different avenues of life. But with that being said, you're constantly trying to figure out who you are. And in a society where you are judged for everything you do.
Yeah.
And
watched.
Yeah. To the point where it's like, why do you care?
Yeah.
Why are you looking at me?
Mm-hmm.
For example, I always think when people get ready, like I watch Brenda, for example,
Yeah.
a fitness influencer who we love. She'll put on a little bit of makeup at 5 a.m. when she goes to the gym, and she always does it because it makes her feel good.
Yeah.
I do the same thing.
Yeah.
In the morning when I go at 6 a.m.,
Yeah.
I'm putting on a little bit of mascara and a little bit of concealer. I'm not doing a full face.
You're also not copying Brenda. It's just something that you like to do.
No, it's something
Yeah.
I've done before I've even watched her videos. But it's something where when I show up to the gym, I'm not thinking, okay, who's going to look at
It's
me?
not a fashion show. Yeah.
It's not a fashion show. But also, if I did show up, who cares?
Who cares?
It's
Yeah.
my life. I'm going to
Yeah.
do what I want. And if a little bit of makeup makes me feel like I can get a better workout in because I'm not stressing about people looking at me thinking, ugh, why does she look like that?
Yeah.
Even if they're going to look at me regardless, doesn't matter. It's what I think and what I want.
Exactly.
So why do you care why I'm putting on makeup? Or if I'm going to come to an event and I'm a little bit more overdressed, if I go to McDonald's wearing jeans and heels
Yeah.
and a tank top, why do you care what I
Yeah.
do? But a lot of times, because, and we spoke about this, I think it was our first episode where we talked about external validation and constantly seeking it, it is something that I feel like we all do.
Yeah.
But when you look for so much validation in other people, who,
Yeah.
they're not living your life. You're living your
No.
life. So why do you care what they think of you?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Whatever makes you feel comfortable and whatever you want to do, as long as you're not hurting somebody else and affecting somebody
Yeah.
else and changing somebody else,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
Exactly. And be undeniably yourself.
Yeah.
I know that's so hard, especially in the society like you were talking about where you're constantly watched and judged, but there's so much beauty in originality.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that a lot of the time, I was joking earlier about like Aritzia, but it's true. Like probably 1 in 10 people at the mall or 2 in 10 people at the mall are wearing Aritzia.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with that at all. I'm just saying it's like, but whenever you see someone who's wearing like a thrifted piece or like chunky rings on their fingers or like something vintage or whatever, you almost look at them and you're like, outfit.
Yeah.
Like, you're slaying today. Like, you know what I mean? Because it's like, that's original.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with wearing Aritzia. Like, we wear it all the time. But it's like, well,
I do.
I'm an Old Navy girl. But like,
You are becoming an Aritzia girly.
unfortunately,
Yeah, I know you don't want to admit it, but
I know.
slowly.
I step in there often.
But you go to Old Navy still.
There's bags.
Stick to the roots.
You guys can't see, but there's Old Navy and Aritzia.
A mix. A
A
balance.
mix. But like, there's nothing wrong with that either. I'm just saying it's like, rather than copying, like, I mean, I don't know if remember whenever we were in high school, bench.
Okay.
For me, it was like the bench jackets with like the flap up,
Oh, okay. Yes.
like the collar almost.
The like not ski jackets, but I know exactly what you're talking
with like
about.
the anyway. So it's like if you didn't have a bench coat, you weren't cool. And I remember I was like trying to beg my mom to buy me a bench coat, and she's like, no, like we can't afford that or whatever. I'm not spending $100 at the time, on a jacket for you. And I was like
That
so
was
upset.
going out of style in 2 years.
Exactly. And I was so upset because I wanted to fit in with everybody else. I wanted to like feel cool. I didn't want to wear like, because at the time I was, oh my God, I'm like sob storying. But at the time, like I had my dad's relatives, they would give me like bags of clothes and I would just like pick from whatever, because I didn't have like a lot back then. And yeah, so I would wear stuff like that. But then I'd see my friends, like they would have bench jackets and
Brand new
yeah, and like
outfits.
what was trendy back then? Those
Vans.
those plaid shorts and
Yeah.
stuff, Hollister tees, like with the logo,
Aeropostale.
the Aeropostale. Yeah, and I was like, oh my God, I want that. And I remember I would like, my mom would get me like the clearance T-shirts that were like so bad, but it was just like, that's just how it was back then. I just wanted to fit in, and like honestly, it's hard being a teenager.
It is because one, kids are mean, and teenagers are even meaner. I think.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to be a teenager because you do want to fit in. And I feel like even at the time, you kind of know that it doesn't really matter, but you don't want to be left out, picked on. You also feel like, again, your friends are your end all be all at
Yeah.
that time, that you can't disappoint them. You can't make them look uncool by being by them wearing something
Yeah.
that's not matching what they're matching.
Yeah.
But I also want to talk about originality, because I think it's easy to say everyone be original, but what does that mean? And if you're struggling to be original, how to get there? And I think Mara made a point to me earlier that a way that you could do that is trying new things. And
Yeah.
it could be as simple as trying a new hairstyle.
Yeah.
I personally, not today, and not last week, but every single day I curl my hair. And
Yeah.
for the years I've been doing it because that's how I love my hair to look. I don't
Yeah.
really like it straight. It is what it is.
But you look beautiful.
Thank you. But recently, everyone always does these like slick back hairstyles. And I remember I tried it once, maybe last
Oh,
year.
yeah.
And I didn't like it because I did wrong. I didn't have the proper tools. I didn't have the brushes. I had random ass gel that I used. It didn't look great. So I just wrote it off. But then this year I was like, let me try new things. Let me experiment. I'll do it on days where I'm staying home. If I hate it, I hate it. But let
Yeah.
me sit in it for a few hours
Yes.
to really see if I actually like how it looks on me.
Yeah.
And with that, I started doing slick back buns and slick back ponytails and then wearing braids in my hair and doing different hairstyles that I liked. And I wasn't looking the exact same every single day because
Yeah.
I started realizing that every single photo I took,
Look the same?
I looked the exact same.
Really?
Like I have my pose, I have my hair in the exact same position. Anyways, the point of the story is experiment with things. Even with your clothes. If you are always wearing Aritzia,
Yeah.
it's fine, but I also like to go to the mall and I try on different things and going to even the thrift stores and hand picking little pieces. Obviously, buying a whole new wardrobe is expensive. So is buying an Aritzia hoodie.
Literally.
Even shoes. I feel like that was one thing where growing up, it was whatever shoe was in that year you were buying, or every few years, whenever it was that you were buying a new pair of shoes. It was whatever the popular style was. So if it was Vans at the time, or do you remember Toms?
Yes.
The Toms, I loved those. Even I bought Adidas Sambas more recently because I like them. But at the same time, I go to the mall and I just look at the shoes and I don't think, okay, what's the most popular brand right now? And within that brand, what's the most popular style? I just look at them and I think, what's the coolest one in my mind?
Yes.
Which one do I like the most that I'll get the most wear out of?
Yeah.
Because I enjoy it. And it's always those pieces that I pick out that I get the most compliments from.
Yeah.
It's those ones where people are like, wow, because if you wear Adidas Sambas, everybody knows what they are.
They're
Everybody's
trendy.
seen them. They're trendy.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with wearing trendy things, but trying to figure out what you like, you have to experiment and you have to branch out. And that could be trying new hobbies. That could be even painting or something. You don't have to be good at it.
Yeah.
But maybe it's therapeutic to you. Maybe you enjoy it. Doing all of these things will help you to figure out who you are, what you really like, what keeps you mellow, what keeps you happy, what aggravates you. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And I think on that point, I want to address I know that people are doing it for style advice and stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with it. But the typical going out outfit. So every single stylish person will say like black top, white top, jeans, and heels, right? And it's like, obviously that's great. Like, it looks great. I mean, I wear it, you wear it, whatever. I'm not shitting on it. But I'm saying add some color. Because you never know what kind of person will be like, I'm afraid of wearing color because that's not going to look good or whatever. And like, even the other day, I found myself, I was shopping with my boyfriend, and like, it's just completely preferential, but he didn't like a certain color. Like, the fit was great. I personally really, really liked it. And I came out feeling confident, and then I asked him, like, what did you think? And he was like, honestly, like, the fit was great, but I just wasn't big on the color. And then, obviously, in my head, I'm like, and this is just me being honest, like, because I'm a human being. I was like, oh, well, then maybe other people won't like that color. And I even though I liked it, I put it away. And I was like, then I thought about that, and I was, it's something so small, but then I thought about it, and I was like, I wanted that. Why did I care so much what someone else thought? Because realistically, that style of like, because he was like, maybe the black would look better. And I was like, but I have so much black. Like, I have all these black little top. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, those are the things that I think about in terms of like, but maybe someone else had that black top.
And maybe somebody else. Wait, sorry, it was a black top?
No. Like, maybe someone else had the black top. Maybe I was the one who had the red one. Like, you know what I mean?
And maybe somebody who wasn't your partner was going to see that top and say, oh my gosh, I love that color on you. And I also think there's certain things which people have to realize. If you like something, you have to stick to it because it could grow on that person too.
Exactly.
And in relation to that, something similar happened to me, but it was with my mom actually. I started wearing my dress pants to work with sneakers.
Yeah.
And I'd buy like these white, the Lacoste sneakers. And when she first saw me pull up in black dress pants and white sneakers, she was like, you're gonna wear sneakers with dress pants? To her, that was unheard of. You never wore sneakers to work.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I like how it looks. I was working a job where it was allowed. I wasn't breaking any dress codes.
Yes.
And I was like, it's cute. Don't you think it's cute? And she's like, I don't know. It looks off, because she wasn't used to seeing it.
Right.
Anyways, I started wearing them. I think a week later, she sent me a photo of her wearing dress pants with the same shoes that I had, because she went and she bought a pair and she was wearing the same.
I love that.
And it looks so cute on her.
Yeah.
And she ended up loving it, and she wears that all the time now. And it's up, it's just something she does. Now she wears sneakers with dress pants because she thinks it's cute and it grew on her.
Yeah.
Just because somebody makes a comment to you saying that they don't like it or it's, not really their style, it could grow on them. That's just something that they've never really seen before. And maybe you could be the person that changes their mind.
Exactly. And that's like going back to just like caring so much about other people's opinions. I think that really is what affects growth.
Yeah.
Because if you care so much about like, and I'm usually pretty good with that, but like, I think in that moment I was just like, oh, maybe he's right. Maybe I should get the black one instead because it's more versatile. But then I'm like, I like red. I love wearing red. Red looks good on me, and I know that. And like,
you want someone's first reaction to be like, wow.
Exactly. And then it kind of puts you off a little bit whenever it's not like that. So even me, I'm human. Everyone does it. But I think it's just keeping in mind, like, no, stay true to what you like. And I always say, like, you gave advice in terms of like finding yourself. I think you got to listen to your heart. Yeah. Like, listen to your head and listen to your heart. It doesn't matter if 15 people are going to the club. If you don't want to go to the club, don't go to the club. Because honestly, you're going to have a way worse time and you're going to spend a shit ton of money. But like, I think, honestly, whenever you're a kid, that mentality where you're like, you become a people pleaser.
Yeah, you do.
And that bleeds, that kind of, I wouldn't say trauma, but that kind of personality trait bleeds onto your adult life. If you don't fix it, you will always become a people pleaser, and you will always feel like your opinion doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like, I know someone in my life who's like a chronic people pleaser, like literally everything, like everything I say, anything anyone says, it's like, even if that person doesn't want to do it, they will do it because to them, they don't want to piss anyone off. But it's like, then what do you like? Like, I've asked that person, I'm like, so what do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? Isn't that sad that if I ask, like, what do you want to do? Like, if I asked you right now, what do you want to eat? What are you craving?
And it was just, oh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. What do you want? It's like,
But then you end up eating something, like, at least in that case scenario, because I mean, obviously it's okay if you don't know.
Yeah.
But in that case scenario, you have to be able to say you don't want something.
exactly.
Like, if you're really craving sushi, and I hate sushi, which,
Yeah.
no, but if I did hate sushi,
Yeah.
I wouldn't sit here and eat it just because I didn't have the courage to tell you I don't want to do that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And I think especially you become a people pleaser whenever you love someone.
Yeah.
I think that's like the biggest thing, or you care about someone, or you value their opinion, or I think in some cases it's like, I want to fit in with this person. And I'm talking about adult life now because like we're all in our 20s and we're all kind of trying to figure stuff out. But I think whenever you're an adult and you're still people pleasing, you really have to look and reflect on what you want to do and what you like, because you matter.
Yeah, and it's
You
your
matter.
life.
Yeah, it's your life. And at the end of the day, like I can't stress that enough. Your opinion matters. What you like matters. You don't know what ideas you have that could change the world.
And you're not going to be alone. No matter
No.
what you choose to do, even if it's very niche, I can promise you there's going to be somebody who relates to you, who likes the same things.
Literally.
Who can, and with social media, it's easy to find other people like that.
Communities are built on social media.
Yeah.
And like, contrary to what we were kind of shit talking social media in the last episode, but I think in what we're talking about right now, it's like, that is the beauty of social media. We have grown into such an accepting society now where you are judged and watched. There are so many people that will also be in your corner and be
Absolutely.
like, wait, I love the way you did that. Like, even with like hair stuff. And we're also not saying like, don't copy other people's way of doing things, or like, you know,
I'm saying copy everyone until you find your style.
Exactly. It's like maybe you saw someone curl their hair differently and it worked really well, and then you tried it and you're like, okay, I'm gonna also do that, and I'm gonna show all of my friends that like this is a great way to curl your hair.
Yeah, there's a difference between copying somebody because you want to be them and
Yes.
copying somebody because you want to learn from them. So if I'm on TikTok and I see different styles, and whether it be for hair or outfits or makeup or even just like therapy tips and
Yeah.
tricks, whatever it might be, I will try everything until I find what works for me.
Exactly.
And that goes hand in hand with the quote that we started off with, the I am a mosaic of everybody I've ever
Yeah.
loved, even for a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Even if it was a 1-second TikTok that you loved,
Yeah.
that might have changed something that you did that turned your path a little bit
Yeah.
into the direction of wherever you're going, whatever that
Exactly.
outcome of your life is going to be.
Exactly.
And I also want to say too, because we talk a lot about external validation, and I wanted to talk about self-sabotage because there was a quote that I also saw on TikTok, and it said, maybe your garden isn't growing because each time you grow a flower, you cut it to prove you're a gardener.
yeah, that's crazy.
People in general are so scared to fail, right? That you stay stagnant and you don't want to do anything because you're just scared in general. But at the end of the day, you're not learning and you're not growing if you're not failing at some
Exactly.
point. We're not perfect human beings. It's impossible to be successful 100% of the time at every
Yeah.
single thing that you do.
Yeah. Camera always die on us.
I know we always have a problem with this. But where we left off was basically saying without failing, you don't grow, you don't learn.
Yeah.
And again, speaking about external validation, we're constantly looking for other people's approval and their guidance. And why do we do that? Why do we want other people to guide us in life? Why do we want other people's approval so badly? And I genuinely think it's because we have a problem with taking accountability. We're
Yeah.
scared to put the blame all on ourselves.
Yeah.
Because if I go to you and I ask you for advice and you tell me something, then I can sit there and say, well, you told me to do it. You told me it was a good idea.
Yeah.
And now the blame's not just on me, but it's also on you.
Yeah.
Versus me just making a decision on my own and then being able to say, I made a mistake. That wasn't right for me. I need to do something else. And going back to the quote that I read about, maybe your garden isn't growing because each time you grow a flower, you cut it to prove you're a gardener. It's like you're self-sabotaging for other people's opinions who don't matter.
No.
And all it is doing is causing you more harm than good. And if you're growing a garden, grow it in silence.
Yes.
And that's all that I have to say before this camera dies again. But you had a good point to add.
No, that was a great, honestly, way to end that. But my point is, even the people you admire, you don't want their life.
No.
Because everyone's struggles are different, and you can pick and choose what parts you want to take, but don't let it become someone else. Because you're you. Be confident in yourself.
Be you.
Okay, preach.
Preach.
Okay, thank you. We'll see you in the next episode.
Goodbye. Good morning.
Good morning.